216 BC. The dusty plains of southeastern Italy shimmer under the Mediterranean sun. 86,000 Roman legionnaires march in perfect formation, their bronze armor gleaming, their crimson standards fluttering in the wind. They're hunting Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general who's terrorized Italy for 2 years. This is Rome's moment of vengeance, the largest army they've ever assembled, commanded by 2 consuls hungry for glory. Ahead waits Hannibal with just 50,000 men trapped against the Aufidus River with nowhere to run. It should be a massacre. But let's change one thing. Hidden among Hannibal's baggage train sits a single weapon that won't be invented for another 2,200 years. A modern GPS-guided missile system, complete with satellite navigation, laser guidance, and enough explosive power to level city blocks. So what happens when 21st century precision warfare meets antiquity's greatest tactical mind at the most famous double envelopment in military history? First, let's understand what we've just dropped into the ancient world. A modern missile guidance system isn't just a rocket with a warhead. We're talking about a network of technologies that would seem like pure magic to anyone in 216 BC. The GPS constellation alone requires 31 satellites orbiting 12,000 miles above Earth, each one broadcasting timing signals accurate to billionths of a second. The missiles themselves carry computer processors more powerful than anything that existed before 1970, guidance systems that can adjust flight paths thousands of times per second, and warheads designed with explosives that wouldn't be discovered for centuries. But here's the thing about Hannibal. He doesn't need to understand how lightning works to use it as a weapon. And the man who crossed the Alps with elephants, who spent 2 years outmaneuvering every Roman army sent against him, who's about to execute the most brilliant tactical maneuver in military history, isn't going to waste an opportunity like this. The Roman army spreads across the plain like a bronze sea. 80,000 heavy infantry in the center, their rectangular shields locked together, gladi ready to thrust. 6,000 cavalry on the wings. They advance in the classic Roman formation that's conquered half the known world, confident in their overwhelming numbers. Consul Varro commands from the right, Consul Paulus from the left. Neither has any idea they're about to witness warfare that won't be possible for over 2 millennia. Hannibal's forces look pitiful by comparison. 40,000 infantry drawn from across the Mediterranean. Gallic warriors with their long swords and fierce war cries. Spanish swordsmen with their deadly falcatas. African veterans in captured Roman mail. 10,000 cavalry, mostly Numidian light horse, famous for their hit-and-run tactics. They're outnumbered almost 2 to 1. But they have something the Romans don't. A commander who sees the battlefield like a chess master sees the board, and now, a weapon that can strike with the precision of the gods. The morning sun climbs higher as both armies close the distance. Roman trumpets blare across the plain, answered by the wild horns and drums of Hannibal's diverse coalition. Dust clouds rise from thousands of marching feet. The Romans push forward in their traditional deep formation, designed to smash through enemy lines through sheer weight and discipline. It's worked for centuries. Today, it's about to become a liability. Hidden in the Carthaginian camp, the missile system comes online. Satellites that won't be launched for 22 centuries somehow provide targeting data. The computer brain processes wind speed, temperature, humidity, and calculates trajectories with mathematical precision that would make Archimedes weep. Target acquisition locks onto the densest concentrations of Roman troops. The system waits for its operator's command. Hannibal watches from a low hill as the Roman tide approaches. His weathered face shows no emotion, but behind those dark eyes, a plan is forming. Not just the double envelopment he's already prepared, not just the tactical masterpiece that will be studied in military academies until the end of time, but something more, something that will turn this battle from a clever victory into a demonstration of divine power that will echo through history. The Romans are 500 meters away now, close enough to see individual faces, close enough to hear their battle songs, close enough for precision strikes that will shatter their formation before the real fighting even begins. Hannibal raises his hand, the signal his commanders have been waiting for. But this isn't the signal for the famous double envelopment that history remembers. This is something entirely different. The missile system receives its targeting coordinates. 3 separate warheads lock onto the Roman center where the legions are packed tightest. Dense formations that made them unstoppable against ancient enemies are about to become their greatest weakness. The first missile streaks across the morning sky at twice the speed of sound. To Roman eyes, it's a burning spear thrown by Mars himself. The warhead detonates 50 meters above the 15th Legion's front ranks. The explosion is unlike anything the ancient world has ever witnessed. A thunderclap that shakes the earth. A flash brighter than lightning. And suddenly, 200 legionnaires simply cease to exist. Smoke and dust fountain skyward as body parts rain down on their stunned comrades. The second missile follows 3 seconds later, striking the 21st Legion's standard bearers. The sacred golden eagle that's led Rome to victory across 3 continents disappears in a ball of fire. Veterans who've fought in Gaul and Spain, men who've never retreated from any enemy, stumble backward in terror. Their tight formation, the backbone of Roman military might, begins to crack. But Hannibal isn't finished. The third missile arcs high overhead, its trajectory calculated to perfection. It strikes the Roman cavalry on the right wing just as they're preparing to charge. Horses and riders vanish in an instant. The surviving mounts bolt in every direction, their riders clinging desperately to reins as panic spreads like wildfire through the ranks. Consul Varro stares in disbelief from his position behind the lines. In 30 seconds, his overwhelming advantage has been shattered by weapons that shouldn't exist. His centurions are shouting contradictory orders. Some legions are advancing, others are retreating, and the careful coordination that makes Roman armies invincible is falling apart. The psychological impact is devastating. These are men who've conquered the known world through discipline and courage. But how do you maintain discipline against enemies who wield divine lightning? The Carthaginian infantry begins its advance. Not the desperate charge of a trapped army, but the measured approach of hunters closing in on wounded prey. Hannibal's Gallic warriors howl their war cries, their long swords catching the sunlight. The Spanish contingent moves with deadly purpose, their falcata swords designed to hack through armor and bone. Most terrifying of all, the African veterans advance in perfect silence, their captured Roman equipment making them look like dark mirrors of their enemies. On the flanks, Numidian cavalry begin their deadly work. These aren't the heavy horsemen that Europeans will perfect centuries later. These are light, fast riders on desert horses, masters of the feigned retreat and the sudden strike. They swarm around the Roman wings like angry wasps, hurling javelins with deadly accuracy before wheeling away from any counterattack. The Roman center, still reeling from the missile strikes, tries to reform their lines. Centurions bark orders, trying to restore the discipline that's made them masters of the Mediterranean. Some units respond, their training overcoming their fear. But others are broken, their nerves shattered by weapons that seem pulled from the realm of the gods. Hannibal watches from his command post as his trap begins to close. The missile strikes were just the opening move, a way to shatter Roman confidence and disrupt their formations. Now comes the real artistry. His center begins to give ground slowly, drawing the Romans forward into a carefully prepared killing field. It looks like a retreat, but it's actually the most sophisticated tactical maneuver in military history beginning to unfold. The Romans, desperate to regain momentum after the devastating missile strikes, surge forward into the gap. Their discipline reasserts itself as they smell victory, but they're walking into a trap that combines ancient tactical genius with futuristic firepower. The jaws of Hannibal's envelopment are starting to close, and when they do, the remaining missiles will turn the killing field into a slaughterhouse that will redefine the very nature of warfare. When the dust settles and the screams fade to silence, the Battle of Cannae has been transformed from history's greatest tactical victory into something far more terrifying. Rome's mighty legions lie scattered across the Italian plains, not just outmaneuvered by Hannibal's genius, but obliterated by weapons that won't exist for over 2 millennia. The psychological impact would be catastrophic. Word would spread across the Mediterranean that Hannibal commands the very lightning of the gods. Cities would surrender without siege. Armies would flee at the mention of his name. The Roman Republic, already shaken by conventional defeats, might never recover from witnessing their invincible legions vaporized by divine fire. But here's the real question. Even with precision missiles that can delete entire formations, would Hannibal have needed them? His original double envelopment at Cannae was already perfect, a tactical masterpiece that destroyed Roman armies through pure strategic brilliance. Maybe the most terrifying truth is that history's greatest generals don't need futuristic weapons to achieve the impossible. They just need to see the battlefield in ways their enemies never could. So what do you think? Would GPS-guided missiles have changed the course of the Punic Wars? Or was Hannibal's tactical genius unstoppable regardless?